too many lawyers using fear to try to get clients. It's time for something new. It's time for a vlog. It's episode 94. You're watching Unbillable 5 Tips. Let's buy a house. All right, 5 tips for real estate, purchasing, selling. All right, the first tip, a buyer's market, a seller's market. If someone tells you it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, they probably don't know what they're talking about. Every market is a buyer's market. Every market is a seller's market. Calm down, real estate agents. I know what you're thinking. There's a difference. Okay, this is really about inventory. When there's a lot of inventory, it's a buyer's market. When there's not that much inventory, it's a seller's market. But are you gonna let inventory dictate whether you should or shouldn't buy something like a very large financial commitment? You shouldn't. It's not about a buyer's market or a seller's market. It's about your market. What are you in the market for? What kind of house can you afford? What kind of size of a house can you afford? What kind of payments can you afford? Should you even be buying a house right now? This is about you, not about the market, not about the seller, not about the buyer. It's about you. It's not a buyer's market. It's not a seller's market. It's your market. What are you gonna do with it? All right, so if an agent will tell you it's a buyer's market or a seller's market if you're a buyer or a seller, then how do you know what to trust what they say? See, this is important. You gotta take your time to pick the right agent. I don't know Pat and Rick. I don't know who they are. They say there's a tennis court. They say there's a pool. How do we know they're telling the truth? Well, on the signage, generally speaking, we can kind of assume that they're telling the truth. But when it comes to picking your agent, you want to pick someone you can work with. You want to pick someone that you're comfortable with. You want to pick someone that you know you can trust. When they tell you something is worth something or a comp price, you want someone that you can believe and that you can trust. You need a good rapport with your agent. That's how you pick an agent. So take the time to get to know an agent. Don't just find the first one that says, if you need help to buy or sell your home, call me. Take some time, interview the person, interview a couple different agents, get a feel. You want someone with some skill, the ability to negotiate, knows the neighborhood. Get to know your agent. Pick the right one. When you're buying a house, everybody assumes you're gonna have a 30-day escrow, a 30-day to close escrow. The realities are, after the last economic downturn, the last time the real estate market really kind of, the bubble burst, if you will, they put in a bunch of new regulations, and having a 30-day escrow, it's possible, it's doable, but I would highly recommend considering like a 45-day escrow. Give yourself a little bit more time to get all the paperwork in order. An escrow is like a third party that holds all the documentation and the money. Make sure when all the documents are prepared and agreed upon and signed and everything's completed, then they release the money when they record the new deed. They're like a third party that holds all the important documentation, trading the money for the property at the appropriate time. Now, how much time you have, how much time the sale is pending is what the escrow period is. And so most people, 30 days is commonplace, but for most, 45 days is really what they need to do. So you might want to consider just in your initial offer, initial contract, asking for 45 days, especially if you're the buyer. Give yourself that little bit of time. And if you're a seller, I mean, number one, make sure you have a qualified buyer. And then number two, be realistic and recognize that although 30 days is sort of commonplace, I mean, it's the tradition, if you will, the rest of the process has changed, and maybe it's time for that 30-day tradition to become a 45-day tradition. 45 days to close escrow might be a better idea than trying to cram it into 30. Pretty sure we're up to tip number 4 right now. Tip number 4 is get the inspections done. When you buy a piece of property, it's buyer beware. So you need to get inspections. Inspect the roof, inspect the fireplace, inspect the plumbing. Inspections are important. If something goes wrong, you're gonna wanna hold someone accountable. And the legal system generally has a buyer beware attitude. So remember, get inspections done. It's worth the time, it's worth the money, it's worth the effort. If nothing's wrong with those inspections, all right, fine. Maybe you spent some money that you didn't need to spend, but if something is wrong, it's those inspections that are gonna have your back more than anything else when the time comes. Get the inspections done. Oh, and one other thing, if you're worried about the lot lines, you can't necessarily rely on the walls. You might need to get a survey too. So depending on how old the property is and kind of the general idea of the boundaries, maybe a survey is an inspection that needs to be done as well. So get the inspections done. This is not the time to be cutting corners to save money. This is potentially and probably your largest single investment. Why would you cut the corners on an inspection? It's really not the right idea. Take the time to get everything inspected, make sure you know what you're buying, and then buy it. All right, look, this last tip, I've been doing all these tips in front of houses that are for sale. This house is not for sale. I just like this house, so Luis and I were driving by, we had to stop and take a peek at it. The 5th tip is don't buy anything until your escrow closes. If you're the buyer, don't go out and spend money on a fancy car or a fancy vacation or do anything that might hurt your credit score. Don't do anything until your escrow closes. And if you're the seller, don't go out and buy another house or another place unless your deal's contingent, because if that deal falls apart before the escrow closes, you might be stuck with something new that you've bought. So if you're the buyer, don't buy something else. Don't spend your money or hurt your credit score while while the deal's pending. And if you're the seller, same kind of things. Just let the escrow close and then your deal will be done. And enjoy this house behind me like you enjoy this video. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have a comment, something you want to share with me, make sure you put it in the comments below. And of course, subscribe. Still pushing for subscribers. It would mean a lot to us. So with that, you'll see us and we'll see you in front of other amazing properties like this one on the next episode of Unbillable.